Great. I do see this live on our YouTube channel. It does indicate also that we're live on Facebook, so I will double check that this is true and give it a couple minutes before we actually get kicked off and going.
I should share this to our page too.
Sure. Okay, perfect. I'm starting to see some people are tuning in with us. It also is showing that it has notified some of our following, so we can finally get this broadcast started and really maximize our 30-minute window that we have with our guest this morning. If you are a first-time viewer on our page, I want to welcome you to the Westminster Chamber Live broadcast we host. We host these on Mondays and Wednesdays, really to update you on what's going on in our community with our various city councilors and even our mayor. And then on Wednesdays, we get the opportunity of highlighting some of our newer partners so you can learn about who is behind the brand, who's behind the organization, and understand how you can support them or how you can work with them so that they can continue to move forward and continue to impact our communities in such positive ways. Now, I am Juliet Abdel, and I want to encourage you to go ahead and like this page if you're viewing it on Facebook, and make sure that you hit the follow button. It is your best friend as we continue to follow different pages. Personally, all those contents don't show up on our feed and all that algorithm and good stuff. So make sure that you are following the page. When you follow us, it notifies you when we go live, and it will also notify you when we post content into the future. And if you are on our YouTube channel, which is where we're also streaming this right now, then you can hit the subscribe button. The subscribe button is really good about alerting you on our broadcast. It's also good as a reminder later on if you didn't jump in and join us. So 2 ways that you can get notified socially, social media wise, about these live broadcasts. Of course, I also want to encourage you to go to the video section at any point in time so you can rewind and rewatch any previous broadcasts that we've had. Before we came onto this broadcast, I was visiting with our guest about how we've been doing this for well over 2 years now. So the video library has a number of interviews that we've done. And they're not just exclusive for our new members or our city councilors. These are things about how you can adapt your business, how you pivot, e-commerce to marketing, to resources that are out there. So find some time, whether it's in the evening, weekend, or any other time that you might be interested in learning and absorbing information, and go to the video section and watch those. So if you are watching this later on, I thank you for joining us. Make sure you give us that hashtag replay so we know you tuned in. A couple of other little things, and then we really will get to the content, I promise. If you are watching this broadcast, then we encourage you to engage with us. And you can engage with us by either reacting to this video with one of those emojis. We don't particularly care for the angry emoji, although you can use that. But if you give us any of those, then we know who's tuned in with us. You can also comment on this video. And the comment section is located directly beside the video if you're viewing it on a desktop device, your YouTube, or it's located beneath the video if you're viewing it on Facebook. The comments is where we pull any good morning pleasantries that come our way, any remarks for people that are hopping on. It's also where we'll pull any additional questions. So if we have questions that we've gone through with our guests, but then you're really interested in knowing something else we didn't highlight, let us know what that question is, and we'll be able to loop it into our conversations and get that hopefully answered for you along the way. Now, it is really my pleasure to introduce our guest today. I have Emily with me from Food for Hope. Emily, I'm very excited to have you guys on our broadcast this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Absolutely. Well, let's get started by telling people, if they have not ever heard of Food for Hope, who you all are.
So Food for Hope was started back in 2014, really to address the issue of childhood hunger. We actually started just in Thornton with doing weekend food bags for families that just weren't able to provide enough food for their kids on the weekends. But then we've since grown, and we still do the weekend food bags, but we also do snacks for kids in schools, as well as we have food banks located in schools and school district locations. We currently serve Adams 12, Adams 14, 27J, and Westminster Public Schools in various capacities.
That is awesome. And that's a big footprint that you're doing. So thank you for taking this on. Is it just you, or do you have a full team that is supportive of some of these efforts that you have going on?
Yeah, up until a few years ago, it was me and my development director until about 2017. And then, really ironically, with the pandemic and all of the need that came from that, and just how we had to radically adapt quickly, we brought on more. So now we actually had a new hire come in today.
Oh, yay.
So yay, I know. So there are 6 of us on the team now, some part-time, some full-time. And as we're growing, it's really helpful to have people specialized in certain areas with our volunteers, with our schools, with our food acquisition, just really make sure we can keep running smoothly.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on the new hire. It's always so exciting when you can expand. So it generally means you can take on more things and really perfect the things that you're already doing along the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you shared about how you're in schools and numerous school districts and everything. Are you and how are you solving the hunger piece? Is this items that are donated directly to you all? Are you provided with any sorts of grants or funding, and then you go out there and you buy these? Or I guess, how are you providing the items that are going to those kiddos that are in need?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do have food that is donated, and we're so thankful for community members that come alongside with those things, especially items that are maybe harder for us to get or more expensive items like protein bars. But we do source a lot of our food from Food Bank of the Rockies, as well as local food hubs, so that we can try to source produce and dairy from local producers in Colorado, and then also Costco. So, so it just really depends on the location. And our funding is comes in from grants and foundations, local businesses that want to invest in what we're doing by helping kids in the community, as well as individuals who give on various levels, and then fundraising efforts. So like every nonprofit, we're kind of doing what we can to bring in the funding we need to purchase the food, because to get consistent food, to get quality food, to be able to customize our food bank locations according to their communities and their cultural preferences, we really do need to be able to purchase most of what we give out.
Totally. And I'm sure you did this when you decided to start up back in 2014, but were there other organizations that were meeting this demand, or was it something that you saw this is something that's not being handled? And I guess, how do you differentiate yourself from some of those other organizations that are trying to address childhood hunger as well, and they may be located or not located directly in your community?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when we started, there's a significant weekend food bag effort in downtown Denver area, Denver Public Schools, as well as in like the Golden Boulder area. But in Adams County, there wasn't a nonprofit specifically addressing that issue. And so we wanted to fill that gap. And like I said, we started with the bags, but then we realized that those are great for some situations, but doesn't meet all the needs. And it doesn't allow the clients to choose the items that really meet their health needs, their allergies, their, all of the things that come into play when we're talking about what we want to eat, right? So, and kids can be picky, but you want it to be healthy, but something they'll eat. So our solution was how we are different. Getting to that part of the question is, our food banks located in the schools are kind of what set us apart. And right now we have 7, but we probably will be adding a few in the next year. And one of those being, hopefully, if everything pans out, in Westminster. Yeah. So really just allows families to come to a place where they already feel safe because they're already there with their kids. They already know teachers, staff, social workers. And so they already feel like they can come in and be comfortable in that space and get the food they need. So as opposed to a traditional food bank where they may not be familiar with the people there, or, maybe there's stipulations around it. It's just connected to a community they're already in.
Totally. And I just want to quickly interject. I see Gerald, Mustafa, Julia. I also see Sharon. Thank you guys for tuning in with us on this broadcast. We have Emily from Food for Hope, and she is doing a great job educating us on everything that they're doing and some of the ways that they are solving our childhood hunger that is in need in our surrounding and here, hopefully soon, directly in our city. So you shared a couple of things and I just want to branch off of them. And I know this is like totally unscripted, but I have the gift of gab for a reason. So, you shared about how you are partnering with some of these entities that are providing more healthy options and even protein bars and everything around that. Are you seeing that generally? And I love that you're doing that because I feel like sometimes when we start doing these different drives or efforts, the quickest thing is often not the healthiest thing that people supply. And so I'm sure some of your education is around that health and those types of products that you can give to kiddos. Has that been a challenge?
Yeah, because as you mentioned, the most affordable food that, the easiest to acquire food is usually not the healthiest. So we really try to find that balance. Like at our Brighton location, the snack cabinet is 100% the most popular place, right? The families come in and the kids run to the snacks and the parents are like, no, we need eggs, But so we try to find a balance of, hey, let's have protein bars and like fruit cups and different things that the kids, little types of crackers that they might want to eat. But we've really spent a significant effort and money in the last year investing in being able to provide more fresh food. So we're upping our refrigeration capacities, working on logistics behind acquiring more dairy, more eggs, butter, vegetables and produce so that families can feel like they have a well-rounded food items when they leave.
Yeah, that is so important. It's even more increasingly so. And I'm glad that they are asking those questions and seeking those things out for their kids. You mentioned to me that a lot of the work that you're able to do is some of it's through partnerships, some of it is through investment that people give you directly and through fundraising. And I know as organizations that are for public good, we often have to fundraise all the time.
Yes.
So it seems like, in the evening hours, as you're scrolling through something, you're like, this could be an opportunity, right?
Right.
So what are some ways that you are attracting those fundraisers? So are you hosting programs and events? Do you have various drives that you're doing, or the forward-facing interaction piece of your organization?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Because when you first start an organization like we did 8 years ago, the first few years you're just like, is this going to make it? So you're very much just kind of scrappy. I feel like we're just like, hey, you're going to give us money. You're going to give us money. This is great. And now, with more support, we're able to kind of be a little more strategic with those things. And so part of it has to do with trying to cultivate a board that is willing to be great advocates in our community and really reach out to the people they know. I think a lot of it is word of mouth because we spend so much of our time and resources really running our actual programming. But we do have an annual fundraiser. This year it's in April, like a dinner where people can come check us out, but also trying to bring in businesses to volunteer or groups to volunteer and help them to get to know the organization that way. And sometimes that helps them feel more comfortable and excited about potentially investing financially in what we're doing.
I love that piece. And I think I was ignorant of that fact that you had the opportunity to take on some volunteers to go out and support you all.
Yeah.
What are, I guess, are there challenges that you guys are running into, especially when we talk about families, right? That's such a personal environment. And so are there challenges with trying to encourage greater participation in, or even, are there questioning about where things are coming from, or how can we debunk some of the things that may be making some people apprehensive to accessing the services that you're offering?
Yeah, that's a big one. Whenever I meet and talk with other people working in the food area of support for the community, the stigma around hunger and experiencing hunger is huge. I mean, I just talked to someone last weekend whose husband had been weeks before in a dumpster looking for food for their family.
Oh my gosh.
And that is unfortunate reality with all of the costs of food right now and housing. And it broke my heart, honestly. And I looked at her and I said, why did you not reach out? Like, we have resources for you. And she was just like, it's just hard to ask for help and it's embarrassing. And so what we try to do is work within the schools and with the school districts to make those relationships. So the school social workers really know the families. They see them a lot. They are intimate with their needs, and they can kind of help. That partnership is so important because they can kind of help bring them to us. And then once they get to one of our food banks, we have volunteer teams that are at each location so that there are familiar faces there every week, so that hopefully they just come one time and come in the door, realize it's a safe, friendly space. Then they feel welcome to come back and also tell other people about that too.
Totally. That is, I thank you so much for the example that you shared, because it is one of those, and it's around hunger. It's around like health, even in medical, like we have this, self-imposed feeling about things, and it stops us from seeking out the help that we need when we don't speak about it. And to your point, right? Like when people know someone and they truly have developed that relationship and they like them, they'll trust them in guiding them. You shared a quick comment that makes me want to ask a little bit more detail about this, and that is the pantries that you do have, or the snack cabinets that you have in some of the schools as well. Are those accessible at any point in time? Are they particular times throughout the week, or how do you manage the demand on that, and in making sure that they're always full, or they're always available, but not only used by a couple of people and the rest don't have access whatsoever?
Right. That's a great question. Hey, Jessica. So we have two different snack situations. So one is in our actual food banks, we have a snack cabinet. And so when families come at those particular locations, we typically say that they can have a certain number of snacks per child, like enough to get them through the school week. And so the kids can pick out their snacks, and then that's how those are delegated. But we also have a separate program called School Fuel. And we started it because counselors were reaching out to us saying kids are coming to school and they're hungry, they're falling asleep in class because either they didn't get breakfast, or they don't have, their parents can't send a snack from home. And then teachers were spending $50 to $100 a month on snacks for kids in their classes that were in those situations. And that's not okay. Like, teachers have enough to deal with and already don't get paid enough. So we started this program, and what happens is we deliver, like, for instance, we have a high school that gets 1,000 snacks a week, and they are distributed between counselors and the nurse and the front office. And so teachers know that if they encounter a child that seems to be struggling in a class and they realize it's due to hunger, they can send them to one of those contacts at the school, and they can receive a snack that way.
I love that.
Yeah, and so that's typically how it works at the older schools. The elementary schools do it a little differently, but essentially that's the concept around that. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that, sometimes we end up holding on to these different roles that we're wearing, and it's not our role to do that, right? Like, that's not the place of them to have to expense that and to worry about those needs of their kiddos. But the other piece that I just red flagged in my head as you were talking about that kiddo that's in there that needs something so they can focus, or that needs something and everyone else has something, is that piece that you don't really see that you guys are fixing. And that is so so important to their individual feelings as well, right? Like feeling like they are a part of when everyone's pulling out something to eat, or when they're going somewhere and they don't have that, that could affect them mentally, emotionally, and you're fixing that by providing some food items to them as well. So kudos to you on this positive impact that you're doing on the kiddos. Jessica Preston did hop on with us and was one of our first few comments that hopped in here. So thank you, Jessica, for that. We do love Food for Hope. And I believe Jessica was a volunteer a while back because she connected our organizations together. Yeah. So thank you for tuning in. Yeah, thank you for engaging with us and making this connection. And one of the things that hopefully once we get off, I won't forget to do is send you the details about submitting in those volunteer needs so we can try and get some folks behind that. Was there something that I didn't touch on that you were hoping to get out there for people to know or understand about Food for Hope?
Really just what you said, that food is important to our physical health, but it also engages, or it's important for the whole child. There are so many mental and psychological repercussions to having food insecurity as a child. So it's so important to meet those needs. And if it's not our organization, any organization that supports childhood nutrition, I would say just realizing the importance of that. And also just the fact that food costs have gone up for individuals and families, but also for organizations. So, one way that you can make a difference is, like I said, whether it's us or someone else, is choosing to help a family by giving to an organization that can give them some food and support.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that plug-in. So I generally ask people that are on our broadcast because I want them to know who's behind these organizations. And we didn't get a chance to do that yet. So I heard a little bit of an accent in our conversation. So I'm guessing you're not a Colorado native.
I'm not.
All right. So you were a transplant here. And where did you move from?
That's hilarious. I am from South Carolina.
Okay.
But I've lived here in Colorado since 2006. And so my accent does come and go, which is very funny. Sometimes I'll talk to people that I've known for years and they'll say, I had no idea. And then other people are like, oh yeah, we know.
Yes, totally. Well, and it's been hard. I will say that because I'm from Oklahoma. And so anytime that I start hearing, like I get into that just natural, and then people are like, where did that come from? So it's been hard to cut back on it, but you've been here long enough to claim it as your home now. What drew you to Colorado, and really what drew you to get this started in 2014? Because it was a big vision that you had to really get it going.
Yeah. So I actually moved to Colorado because of my husband. We were dating and engaged, and it was just, that point in our relationship where somebody had to move. And so I'm so glad I did. I love Colorado, and we visit South Carolina often. And Food for Hope really came from the vision of a pastor at Thorn Creek Church. It's actually where our office is located. Ruben really wanted to make a difference in the community through helping hunger issues. And at the time, Mayor Heidi Williams, she was the mayor in Thornton, she kind of also had a similar vision. And they essentially were just looking for someone to execute their vision. And it had always been a dream of mine to work for a nonprofit. It just was what my heart was. And I wanted to use my experience and my business background in that. And so, as things were ordained, I was the right place at the right time. And I said, yes, I want to do that. And so it started out as a research project. Can we do this? And it has just grown from there. And I always joke to people that Food for Hope is my third child, because it is, really been such a joy to see the community rally around an issue and give us the resources we need to continue to grow and help others in need. So.
Yeah, you're spot on about that. It's always so nice to actually plant the seed and you see it grow in front of you and blossom. And it becomes kind of your baby, and you want it to grow and see it flourish. So I love all of that. You mentioned to us that you're still located in that church. Where is that address for people that are interested in finding you all?
Yeah, so right now our offices are located inside Thorn Creek Church, even though we're two separate technical entities. They're so gracious to give us space to do what we
Yes.
need to do in office space. We're located in Thornton at Colorado and 120th. There's a shopping center there. We're in the back. So that's where if you come volunteer, yeah, thanks. The address is up. If you come volunteer, to help put food bags together or help with any of our food prep, that's where that is. And then we have our various locations all over, the various school districts that I mentioned.
Yeah,
So, you know, there's an opportunity to volunteer in those places too.
that is awesome. And if people want to call you, what's the phone number that they're dialing?
It's 720
Okay.
593 0940.
Excellent. And I'm just quickly displaying it on the screen for folks. Their phone number, their address is also included for you in the chat. I've tried to do my part in capturing a couple of the comments along the way, but I encourage you all to rewind and rewatch and really take a lot of this information in. I know, are so many people that are looking for ways that they can impact the community, and this is such a great way that you can do so. That doesn't require a whole lot of time, honestly, outside of putting things together, signing up for a block, and being out there. So you're also online. People can find you virtually and on your website and even social media. Is that correct?
Yes. So our website is Food for Hope, just all the words spelled out, .net.
Okay.
And there's actually, if you're specifically interested in volunteering, there's a volunteer page where you can fill out your interest and we'll get back to you about that. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and we're at Food for Hope CO. Also on LinkedIn and YouTube. So, yeah, we definitely would love for you to check us out because that's where we're going to be posting upcoming events and volunteer opportunities and all of that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I know personally, I've seen some of your social media pages and you do keep them as up to date as possible, which is really nice for people that are trying to figure out what's happening at this very moment.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah. And your website's pretty easy to navigate. I see Christina on here as well. Thank you for hopping on, Christina, and joining us to the broadcast. Believe it or not, this is exactly what we were talking about before we hopped onto the broadcast. We are near that 30-minute mark, which goes by so fast.
It does.
But know that this is not the last time with Food for Hope. They are one of our newer partners. We love getting a chance to immerse with our partners and look for ways that we can collaborate together. So look out in the future for communication that we push about them and around them. We so appreciate you, Emily, for being on here and sharing about yourself and about the organization. And I'm so very excited to hopefully one of these days meet you in person outside of this virtual world that we're in.
Thank you so much, Juliet. This has been a blast. I appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.